think, with all the public policy debates that are taking place right now, that the Republican Party would be engaged in a significant debate about how are we going to deal with the economy, and what are we going to do about climate change, and what are we going to do about, lo and behold, the single most important issue to them apparently right now is critical race theory. Who knew that was the threat to our republic?
The progressive left has now deployed Obama to defend and, yes, downplay critical race theory. The former president accused conservatives of stoking fear and resentment among white Americans. So where's the debate heading now? Why is this going on the way that it is? And can the country afford another divide in the form of CRT? Let's bring in someone who's always fighting the woke agenda. Gad Saad, author of The Parasitic Mind, How Infectious Ideas Are Killing Common Sense. Gad, good to see you.
You too, Buck. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
I'm wondering if you can give us your take on, here the president now seems to be doing what the left often deploys as a tactic, which is make something a big issue, whether it's pronoun usage or some form of the trans agenda in schools, whatever it may be. And then when people say, hold on a second, we actually have an issue with how this is going, they say, why are you making such a big deal of it?
Well, it amazes me that he would take the position that he's taking, because one of two things can explain why he's taking the position. He truly doesn't understand the downstream effects of having such a ideology spread like a cancer across all schools and universities, or he actually understands the implication and he's being diabolically duplicitous. But in either cases, it is an insane position to take, because there's nothing more dangerous than organizing a society along identity politics line. I come from Lebanon, the perfect society if you care about identity politics. Everything in Lebanon was organized along your religious tribalism. It's not a good place to be, and it's certainly a lot more concerning than CO2 emissions.
And we have we have so many cases. We'll go through some of them with you today. There are more than we can cover in just one short TV segment. But you've got a New Jersey prep school teacher. Actually, I know this school, the Dwight Englewood School. It's a private school in northern New Jersey. And a woman resigned. Here's what she wrote in her letter. I reject the hostile culture of conformity and fear that has taken hold of our school. The school's ideology requires students to see themselves not as individuals, but as representatives of a group, forcing them to adopt the status of privilege or victimhood. As a result, students arrive in my classroom accepting this theory as fact. People born with less melanin in their skin are oppressors, and people born with more melanin in their skin are oppressed. Men are oppressors, women are oppressed. This is the dominant and divisive ideology that is guiding our adolescent students. It seems to me like she's just talking about what is being indoctrinated or what students are being indoctrinated with right now in schools. Is it this straightforward? I mean, why can't we talk about this? Why isn't this a problem?
It is a problem, and I guess the optimistic perspective on all this is that just like this teacher who decided to actually activate her inner honey badger and come out against this nonsense, tomorrow on my own show, if I forgive the shameless plug, I'll have Andrew Gutman on. He is famously the parent who wrote this unbelievably eloquent letter. I don't know if you know the case that I'm talking about.
New York City school, right? It was for the Grace Church School. Or Dalton, one of them.
No, not Dalton. Braillard, or I can't remember. Some B
Brearley.
word. I can't
remember.
Brearley. That's exactly. And what basically this is showing is that people are starting to push back, whether it be parents who are fed up of this nonsense or teachers who don't wish to promulgate this nonsense. In the same way that CRT has spread across all the ecosystems, you're now starting to see resistance to this stuff also spread. And as you probably know, Christopher Rufo, to give him a shout out, has been spearheading a lot of the efforts. So I think we can be optimistic that we can turn the tide around, but people have to get involved.
I don't know if you saw this. There was an exchange, you mentioned Christopher Rufo, between Chris Rufo and Mark Lamont Hill, somebody that I know well and have worked with. And Mark asked him, what do you like about whiteness? A lot of people on the right got very angry. What they felt like was an unfair bear trap, if you will, meant to essentially provoke a response that would all of a sudden then be used against him. How do you think one put in that situation should answer the question. I mean, why is that question automatically going to be, resulting in the kinds of really heated feelings that it did?
Well, I went after that racist imbecile. I'm talking about Lamont Hill. And I would dare him to ask me those types of questions, because I would turn him from a three-dimensional creature to a two-dimensional creature. Because I would say to him, I don't have to answer a question of what it is that I like about my skin hue. I'll list you the 74,000 reasons why you should like Gad Saad. And here are some other reasons why you should not like Gad Saad. In other words, my personhood is defined by the totality of my merits and flaws, not by my skin hue. And you asking such a question suggests that you are no different than any previous racist that we used to castigate. But now, because you are a noble person of color, you're allowed leeway to ask such a racist question. I mean, I thought that Christopher was a lot more, dispassionate in his response than I would have been, because I truly found it galling that he would ask such a question. It was unbelievable.
I, earlier in the week, talked about the psychiatrist from here in New York City who went up to Yale Medical School. Here's just a little bit of that lecture. We wanted to have your take on this, Gad.
Oh, yes.
I had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way, burying their body, and wiping my bloody hands as I walked away relatively guiltless. With a bouncing like that, like I did the world a favor. White people are out of their minds, and they had been for a long time.
This happened at Yale.
It's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Right. There's this thing called the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. This lady is provided with an opportunity to heal people with their emotional and cognitive problems. If I am a white person, would I be comfortable going to see her now? Then she's come back now and said, no, it was metaphorical, it was allegorical, you shouldn't take it literally. That's always what people say once you shine the light on their hatred. But she also said that she has decolonized her friendship circle, right? She no longer deals with white people. How could this person be a practicing psychiatrist? Does this mean that she only treats people who are of a certain skin hue? So imagine that this person gets a free pass, and she's supposed to be a healer in the most intimate of situations, right? She is a surgeon of the soul, right? She's a psychiatrist. I'm going on the proverbial couch to share my most intimate weaknesses with you, and yet she gets a free pass. But if some idiot actor says something 25 years ago in a tweet, he is canceled, but she can go on with her medical license. It's unbelievable.
You mentioned people getting canceled. Chris Harrison, I can say I've only been made to watch The Bachelor a couple of times by
I've never watched it.
Lady friends. I've been forced. It was like making a hostage video, except I was watching instead of making it. But Chris Harrison got canceled, not for doing anything wrong, but for asking for a bit more forgiveness for a woman who attended a wedding with an antebellum South theme at the wedding. That woman, I believe, is actually engaged to be married to a black man, and yet she still was canceled, and he was canceled for even saying maybe we could be a little more understanding of her. He now wants $25 million from ABC. I hope he gets it. And he's not the Democrat president's son, so he's not allowed to get away with racism, it seems. Or even, get away with asking for a degree of mercy for someone who attended an antebellum themed party.
So let me explain here what this hypocrisy demonstrates. In Sharia law, which is Islamic law, it's completely antithetical to the Western concept of blind justice, because a crime, the punishment of a crime is determined by the identity of the victim and the perpetrator in Sharia law, right? So if you're a Muslim man and you kill a Jewish woman, it's very different than if you were a Jewish man who kills a Muslim woman. And I mean, it's literally codified in Sharia law. Well, the progressive calculus is exactly the same, right? So someone like the psychiatrist, because her melanin is darker, she's allowed to get away with things, whereas the guy from The Bachelor, even if he says something that's a lot more tepid and gentle compared to what she said, he is not forgiven. So it's exactly Sharia law that's come to the West, cloaked in the robe of progressivism. It's unbelievable.